My sister aimed a gun at me and coldly instructed, "Sign the papers or else." My father watched without saying a word. I didn't comply. Instead, I smiled and said, "Look at this." She glanced at it, her face drained of color. Moments later, a deafening bang filled the air. That's when the day ended. But at the start, everything seemed like a typical family gathering. We had rented a modest house outside the city. A simple, functional space with beige walls, mismatched chairs, and a table already set when I arrived. It gave off the vibe of a vacation rental, though in a sense that's what it was. Mom was in the kitchen, unpacking groceries, bread, bananas, lunch meats, things that seemed to suggest she'd put in some effort without actually cooking. "Hi, honey," she greeted, her smile too wide, as though everything was completely normal. Dad followed her, carrying a cooler slowly, as though he never hurried unless absolutely necessary. He nodded at me, not overly cold or warm, just the way Dad was. Then came my sister, perfectly groomed with sunglasses and a fragrance that filled the room. She kissed the air next to my cheek. "Glad you made it," she said. For a while, it felt like an ordinary family day, the kind where Mom serves too much food, Dad takes the head of the table, and my sister talks about the traffic. We even took a short walk before lunch. The trail behind the house looped around a small field. My mom pointed out some wildflowers, my dad commented on the weather, and my sister scrolled through her phone when she thought no one was paying attention. It was the kind of walk families take when they're at a loss for what to do. I answered their questions politely, keeping my tone light. To an outsider, we probably looked like just another family enjoying a normal Saturday. Back inside, Mom got busy arranging the food. Sandwiches cut into triangles, potato chips in a bowl, fruit piled high in the center. She always overdid it, even when there were just 3 of us. "Eat something," she urged, pushing a plate towards me like it was her mission. "I already ate," I said. She laughed it off, but I noticed the flicker in her eyes. She wanted everything to appear perfect, even when it wasn't. We sat down together, Dad at the head of the table, Mom on his right, and my sister beside me. For a while, only the sounds of utensils and clinking glasses filled the air. The kind of silence you only notice once it becomes uncomfortable. Then my sister spoke, casually, as if the thought had just crossed her mind. "So, are you planning something fun with the inheritance?" The words dropped like a stone in a quiet pond. My mom lowered her gaze to her plate. Dad took a sip of water. My sister's eyes were fixed on me, too bright, too intense. I shrugged. "I haven't decided yet." Her smile faltered. "Well, at least you have options. More than the rest of us," she said. Dad cleared his throat. "Family should share," he said quietly. "It's the right thing." I sipped my coffee, keeping my response minimal. "We'll see." Mom quickly shifted the conversation, asking about my apartment and work, but the mood had already changed. The inheritance lingered at the table with us. Heavier than the food, more prominent than the silence. We ate a little more. My sister made subtle jabs disguised as jokes. Dad mostly kept quiet. Mom kept offering more fruit. After a pause long enough to make the air feel tense, my sister pushed her plate away and smiled. "Come with us," she said. "We want to show you something." Her tone was light, but a knot tightened in my chest. Dad stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. He didn't look at me. They led me down the hallway into an empty room. No pictures, no decorations, just a table, 2 chairs, and a stack of papers waiting. "Everything will be easier this way," my sister remarked, pushing the papers toward me. Dad stood quietly by the door, his arms folded. I picked up the first page, where legal jargon filled the lines, then moved to the second and third. My heartbeat steadied. It was a waiver. A paper that made it clear I was giving up all rights to the inheritance, transferring everything to them. No shares. No division. Everything. I chuckled dryly. "Are you serious? You really expect me to sign this?" My sister didn't flinch. "It's what he would have wanted." "Really?" I asked. "Did he leave you a note?" Dad's voice was sharp. "Stop making this difficult." "It's not difficult," I replied. "It's absurd." The pen sat on the table, waiting. My sister nudged it toward me. "Let's act like adults," she said. "We can get this over with quickly and with some dignity." Dignity. I raised an eyebrow. This is daylight robbery with paper and ink. Her face turned red. You don't deserve it. Maybe not, I said, but I'm still not signing it. Her chair scraped loudly as she stood up. Sign it. No. The word hung in the air, more powerful than it should have been. My dad's gaze narrowed. You'll regret this. I looked back at him unbothered. I regret showing up. Then, without warning, my sister reached into her bag and pulled out a gun. The room fell into complete silence. Even the hum of the lamp seemed to vanish. From the kitchen, my mom's voice drifted down the hallway. Dinner's almost ready. My sister pointed the gun at me. Sign the papers, she ordered. Or else. Dad stood still, silent as ever. I gently set the pen down. No, I repeated. The tension in the room felt suffocating. Then I smiled just a little and pointed past her toward the corner of the room. Look at that. She whirled around. My dad's eyes followed. Their focus landed on a tiny black dot in the corner of the wall. My sister's face drained of color. What? What's that? Is that a camera? Say hello. I said, you're on film. She spun back to me, panic flooding her face, then back to the camera. You can't, she stammered before freezing. The gun shook in her hands. She lifted it toward the camera, her voice cracking. Turn it off. Can't, I said. It's working perfectly. Her eyes darted from me to the lens. Desperate, she pulled the trigger. The sound of the shot shattered the silence. My mom gasped from the kitchen, a spoon slipping from her hand. The camera remained steady, its little red light still blinking. My sister stared, bewildered, confusion written all over her face. My dad was pale, staring at me speechless. I sat still, calm on the outside, yet everything inside was tense. The camera kept recording, unblinking, observing. To understand why that moment with the gun happened, you have to know a bit about my background. I grew up as the middle child, which already tells most of the story. I wasn't the golden firstborn, nor the perfect youngest one. I was the forgotten one. So I made noise. If I couldn't get attention by being good, I'd do it by being bad. I was the kid climbing fences, sneaking out, jumping off sheds with an umbrella to see if it would slow me down. I wasn't trying to end my life. I just craved the thrill. I liked knowing I was doing something forbidden, because for once, people had to notice me. If I came home hurt, at least my mom had to stop reading her magazine. If I argued at dinner, at least my dad had to pay attention. That was the deal. I learned early on that bad attention was better than no attention. My sister hated me for it. She was older, the responsible one, the one my parents boasted about. She thought I was a disgrace. Maybe I was. But she didn't ignore me. She made sure to show me how much better she was. Perfect grades, perfect friends, perfect everything. And behind closed doors, she'd twist the knife. Why can't you get it together? No wonder they don't trust you. My younger brother was different. He wasn't close, but he saw me. He'd roll his eyes at our parents and sometimes even cover for me when I messed up. He was the only one who made me feel like I wasn't alone in that house. By the time I turned 18, I couldn't stand it anymore. I packed a bag and left. No safety net, no college fund. Just me and whatever I could manage. It was tough, but I'd rather struggle alone than suffocate in that house. The one person I truly missed was my grandfather. He wasn't like the rest of them. While my parents were obsessed with appearances, Grandpa didn't care. He wore the same clothes for years, his shoes were scuffed, and he'd show up to birthdays with a card from the discount store and a handshake that felt like he'd just finished a hard day's work. My mom used to mutter, "He looks like a homeless man." My dad would sigh and shake his head, embarrassed by him. But I liked Grandpa. He was different. He didn't play by the same rules. He never sought to impress anyone and didn't seem to care when people rolled their eyes. He would often share stories about his past jobs, the places he'd lived and the people he knew. None of it was glamorous, but it was all genuine, and that's exactly what I craved, authenticity. On some occasions when we went out for coffee, I would pay for him, assuming he couldn't afford it. He'd smile at me in a way that made it seem like he understood something I didn't. Now and then he'd say something memorable like, "Even if I were wealthy, I'd live exactly the same." He believed that once people know you have money, they stop seeing the real you and only focus on what they can get from you. I thought he was just being his usual quirky self. He lived until he was 96. His passing wasn't a surprise, but it still hurt deeply. He was the only one in that family who truly understood me. So when we were called for the reading of his will, I didn't expect much. None of us did. Grandpa never gave the impression that he had anything. My parents went because it was formal, my sister was curious, and my brother was there out of obligation. We sat in the lawyer's office, all perched on stiff chairs. The carpet smelled faintly of dust and coffee. My sister whispered to my brother, "What do you think we're getting?" "His old trousers." My dad chuckled, adding, "Maybe his socks, the ones with holes." My mom shook her head. "Probably just some old junk he couldn't bear to throw away." I sat quietly, biting the inside of my cheek. For years, they had mocked him, and now, even in his absence, they continued. The lawyer walked in with a folder, cleared his throat, and began reading. "Your father, your grandfather, expressed his final wishes in this document." No one leaned in. My sister checked her nails. My mom shifted in her chair. My dad sighed. Then the lawyer said my name. He wished to leave his estate to his granddaughter. The room froze. My sister blinked, then let out a laugh. Her? What, his collection of coffee mugs? My dad frowned. What exactly did he leave her? The lawyer adjusted his glasses. Everything. Silence. You could almost hear the carpet breathe. My sister smirked. Everything? What, a couple $100? The lawyer glanced at his papers. The estate is valued at approximately $8.5 million. The words hung in the air like a bad joke no one wanted to acknowledge. My mom gasped. My dad sat up straighter. My sister shook her head. That's impossible, she snapped. He had nothing. He wore the same shirt for 10 years. He invested, the lawyer explained calmly. Modest amounts, consistent growth, compounding over time. It accumulated into a significant fortune. My dad's face flushed. This is outrageous. I'm his son. That money should be mine. Mom nodded quickly. Or ours, not just hers. My sister's voice was sharp. She doesn't deserve it. She didn't even do anything. I sat there, hands folded, pulse racing. For once, they were all looking at me. Not ignored, not invisible. I was seen. I gave a half shrug. Guess he disagreed. That's when their eyes really burned into me. My sister's fury, my dad's disbelief, my mom's disappointment. I had always wanted attention, but this wasn't how I imagined it. The lawyer kept talking, explaining terms and details, but I barely heard him. All I could hear was the heavy silence in the room, thick with shock and anger. They had spent years mocking him for looking poor, and now, the man they ridiculed had left behind a fortune. And he'd left it all to me. And in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't the end. The tension hung in the air like an unresolved echo. No one moved. My sister stared into the corner, as if waiting for a camera to fall. It didn't. The little red light just kept glowing, steady and smug. My dad's mouth twitched as if he wanted to speak, but forgot how. Why didn't it break? My sister murmured, more to herself than anyone. I didn't respond. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. Her grip tightened. Another shot rang out. The lamp flickered. The air seemed to shudder, but still the camera stayed fixed. She lowered the gun, breathing heavily. What's wrong with this thing? She asked. Plenty, I said. But not what you think. That's when the footsteps came. The atmosphere was stiff, weighed down, almost mechanical. The door suddenly flew open, and two men stepped inside. They weren't in uniform, nor were they family. Their presence was the kind that reshaped the room without a word. Put it down, one of them commanded, his tone calm yet firm. My sister trembled, swinging the gun toward them, her hand shaking so much that the barrel swayed. Don't make this worse, the other man said. Place it on the table now. For a brief moment, she appeared like a child caught between a tantrum and giving in. Then her wrist gave way, and the gun fell with a clatter onto the table. One of the men snatched it up, slid it out of her reach, and cuffed her hands quickly. The other placed a steady hand on my father's shoulder. He froze. the room finally releasing the breath it had been holding for what felt like ages. I glanced at my sister, her wide eyes trapped in a corner. "It's all recorded," I said in a low voice. "You're not getting away from this." She shot me a glare, ready to retort, but her words were meaningless now. This is where I paused to explain. "Not to them, but to you. You're probably wondering how I knew. How I remained calm when my sister pointed a gun at me. How I stayed composed while my dad turned to stone. The truth is, I did feel fear, just not in the way they could see. A few days before, my younger brother had called me. His voice was tight, filled with unease. He told me he overheard something, my parents and sister talking, though he didn't go into details. He didn't want to be involved, but he gave me enough to know what was coming. I didn't want to believe him, but deep down, I knew exactly what my family was capable of. And I'll admit, part of me wanted to test them. I've always been like that. When I was a kid, I jumped off sheds with umbrellas just to see if they'd slow me down. I climbed fences just because someone told me not to. I craved the rush, the danger. When you've spent your whole life unseen, you chase anything that makes others notice you. So yes, I went to see for myself. And part of me secretly hoped I was wrong. That they would, for once, show a shred of decency. That we might have a normal evening, eating mom's sandwiches, fighting over small things and calling it a day. If they had shown me even the smallest kindness, I might have reciprocated. But I wasn't about to risk my life on that slim chance. Instead, I hired professionals, not the police but private security. 2 men who knew what they were doing. They advised me against going, told me it was reckless and not worth it. But I was determined, so they went along with my plan. They entered the house first, swept every corner, set up hidden cameras. While I kept my family distracted outside, they scoured the house and found the gun. But they didn't take it. They didn't need to. They just made sure it wouldn't fire when my sister pulled the trigger. When she did, all she got was noise and smoke. The 2 men stayed outside, vigilant, listening, watching. So no, it wasn't luck or fate, or a miracle. It was all part of a well-executed plan. And now the trap was set, but it wasn't me who was caught in it, it was them. The legal process dragged on as it always does. Months of hearings, paperwork, and lawyers arguing over legal jargon I barely understood. Finally, it was over. The estate was settled and I was the sole heir. Every penny was now mine. Hearing it declared in court didn't feel like a victory. It felt more like the earth shifting beneath me, leaving me uncertain, waiting for my footing. I had spent so long expecting someone to take it away, and now there was no one left who could. My family's trials went on parallel to mine. First, it was my sister facing 7 years. The judge didn't hold back. Threatening someone with a gun leaves no room for defense. She tried to cry, but it was too late. Then it was my dad's turn. He didn't pull the trigger, but he allowed it to happen. 2 years. His face said he thought silence would keep him safe. He was wrong. Finally, my mom. She stayed in the background, thinking that would shield her. It didn't. Probation, community service, and a criminal record that would follow her forever. I didn't feel the need to celebrate. Watching them led away from court didn't bring me any sense of justice. I just felt tired. The kind of tired that comes from years of carrying burdens you didn't choose. But underneath that exhaustion, there was something else, space. For the first time, there was room to imagine a life of my own. Not one dictated by them. Not one where I was the invisible child or the scapegoat. A life where I could decide what mattered. When I walked out of the courthouse, the images running in my mind weren't the chaos of a courtroom or the sight of guns drawn. It was simply me stepping forward, free and unburdened for the first time. 5 years later, my life is unrecognizable. After the trial, after the money was finally mine, I did something my younger self never thought possible. I built my own family. I got married, and now we have a little girl. From the outside, we look like any other family, modest house, sensible car, friendly neighbors. To anyone watching, we're just another middle-class family living an ordinary life. But the truth is, that money changed everything, quietly, in ways no one can see. I used it the way my grandpa would have, smartly, without making a spectacle of it. I invested, just like he did. I set up a trust fund for my daughter. Not to spoil her, but to ensure she'll always be safe when she grows up. Right now, she doesn't know how much we have, and she doesn't need to. She's busy being a child, and that's exactly how it should be. I didn't keep it all to myself. My younger brother, the one who warned me, got what he deserved too. I paid for his college, cleared his debts, helped him get his first apartment. He never asked for it, and that's why I trusted him with it. Now he's building his own life, standing on his own. As for me, I've spent some of it. I've traveled, Italy, Japan, even the Maldives. I've stayed in beautiful hotels and eaten meals that still make me smile. I buy comfort when I want it and freedom when I need it. But when I'm home, I keep it simple. I shop at the same stores as everyone else. To the world, nothing is different. And that's the way I want it. Now I understand what my grandpa meant. If people think you're rich, they'll only see the money. If they think you're ordinary, you get to live free. I still seek a little thrill from time to time, skydiving, scuba diving, climbing mountains. But I do it safely now, balancing the rush without risking everything else. At the end of the day, I don't need the world to see wealth on me. What matters most is that my daughter grows up safe, happy, and free.